Right. We have If Climate Change Were Really a Threat by Styx Hexenhammer. Gonna be, I have a feeling that this is gonna be incredibly fucking stupid. Oh, and I made sure to bring up my fancy schmancy global climate change vital signs of the planet from NASA. Our boys over at NASA. We have carbon dioxide parts per million, clearly increasing. The video is titled "If Climate Change Were Really a Threat." So I would love for him to. I hope he brings up some argument like, oh, if it were a threat, then we'd see like these things in nature, and then I can pull this up and be like, oh, you fucking ice sheets, fucking ice sheets. Oh, look at that shit. Look at that. Down, 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 consistently, a significant amount since fucking 2004. Oh my god. Okay. Okay. Ready? We're ready. I'm ready. I'm ready.
All right, everyone, it's time to talk about climate change, which is not actually an existential threat to mankind. I fully believe that it's...
Nice audio, dude. Fucking right-wing
Number
audio.
one, reversible. Number two, largely natural.
It's literally not... Hold on. There's literally... I love every time I watch a video, I have to pause it like 5 seconds in because they say stupid shit like immediately. But no, it's literally, we're literally past the point of no return in terms of part per million. That happened like, hold on. Then the point of no return for carbon dioxide parts per million, didn't that happen already? Wasn't that 400? Wasn't that like, didn't, hold on. CO2 parts per million, point of no return. Let's see. Oh, okay. An atmosphere of 400 parts per million is dubbed the carbon threshold, the point of no return. Okay, well, we hit that. That's what I see. Yeah, that's what I thought. I remember it was 400. Okay, well, we hit 399 January 16, 2015. So, okay. I don't know. I mean, I guess you can just make shit up on YouTube. So, you can just say whatever.
Not going to sit here and worry about it. I find it funny that supposedly right-wing groups, after years of saying climate change isn't real, now there's like a Republican Party climate caucus and things. It's interesting
because climate change is real, and there are, in fact, young Republicans and young conservatives that aren't cucked, or at least as cucked as other conservatives, and they actually want to live their lives. They want to live to be at least 65, right? And so they're going to be in favor of fighting climate change, even as right-wingers.
Interesting how the Overton window is shifting despite no actual additional evidence within science. I wonder how long it'll be.
Dude, I mean, like a bombshell paper just came out the other day that had like the projections for the temperature change, and there was literally even the most like optimistic projections had it at like we'll just have it not get worse. That was literally, it would the most optimistic outcome would just be a plateau. And then the worst outcome was literally like, whoop.
Before these big tech sites decide to ban people for questioning that scientific consensus, as they do currently.
Hey, you know what? You're not fucking banned. You're not banned, Styx. There's just a little climate change thing that just tells you to... It's like, here's the link to Wikipedia so you can like learn what it is if you're a fucking idiot.
For medicine, again, for supposedly pragmatic and existential reasons, but really it's just propaganda. Here's the thing. The powers that be in the Western world are offering you snake oil NIMBYism as the solution for climate change. If they actually believed this...
Hold on. No. Dude. Everybody who's in favor of stopping climate change is literally a YIMBY, dude. It's the opposite. It's quite literally... Also, like, NIMBYism doesn't really have that much to do with this, I guess. Okay, maybe if you don't want, like, I don't know, a fucking coal power plant a mile away from your house, you're technically a NIMBY, but no. And so actually one of the best ways to solve climate change would be through YIMBYism, because the goal with YIMBYism is to make a city, would be to make like city life a lot more walkable, make all of our like transport lives easier, if that makes any sense. These are people that want people living closer together, so we're more efficient per square foot, and so we aren't producing as much carbon dioxide per square foot. Like what?
Science.
Okay. He doesn't know anything about like environmental law or anything
which
like that.
supposedly
So
the consensus is that within the next 50 to 100 years, we'll have reduced our planet to uninhabitability.
yes, we're
Weather
already doing
cycles
it.
will
It's happening
completely get out of
already.
hand. Our planet will be a combination of huge deserts and wind-scored, hurricane-addled peninsular areas that are incapable of
Yes.
sustaining human life
Yes.
because of
Yes. Yes.
constant Cat 3 activity. That's
Yeah.
supposed
Yeah, it's already happening. There are already like island countries that are like half underwater at this point, dude. It's already happening. There are major cities in the United States where the sewage systems are overflooding because the sea level is rising and our infrastructure cannot fucking handle a sea level rise. Oh my god. I am going to die of brain cancer watching
supposedly
this.
our future in not that many generations. No human would survive. There wouldn't be any place on Earth for them to be because everything would collapse because of mankind's industry.
I
Now,
mean,
first
yeah.
and
Yeah, it's already happening. It's a slow boil. We're like fucking frogs, dude. Yeah,
foremost,
it's
I don't
happening.
believe that for a second.
Okay, well then
We
you're a
can look
fucking
back at
idiot.
fairly recent history. We can find warm periods, regional and worldwide. We can find cold periods.
Okay, well none warmer or colder than what we experience. Well, maybe okay, maybe colder because that's not really what we care about. I mean, extreme cold weather comes part and parcel with climate change, but on average, what we're concerned about is the fact that our temperature is going to increase 3 to 5 degrees Celsius in 100 years. Like, if you fucking how I don't know. Styx is a big. He's a science guy. He likes science. He likes evolutionary biology. What would an evolutionary biologist think of an environment changing that significantly in that short of a period of time? How could any life on Earth survive that? They can't. They can't evolve quick enough to
And
survive
find the
something like
little
that.
ice age and things like that. Now,
See, well, that's the main problem with what he's talking about with ice ages and like where he talks about like cold periods and warm periods. These are periods of time that took like 100,000 years to develop in some cases, or I mean, we could talk about the ice age. Like a significant portion of all the species on Earth fucking went extinct when the ice age happened because it was a drastic change in the environment in a very short period of time. Now, I mean, ice ages take like thousands of years to develop, but for something that severe like an ice age, that's pretty like fast actually for something like that. And we see the same thing here where things are increasing in temperature in a way that's way too fucking fast.
sometimes these are regional or even localized, but they can be long term. They can
Okay, but what about the fact that the entire world is increasing in
be
temperature?
extremely
The global average as a whole. How do you okay?
destabilizing. That's what I believe we're
Look,
also seeing today. But keep in mind what the supposed scientific consensus is with regards to climate change, and I say supposed because there isn't actually a consensus.
yes, there
Here's the
is.
problem.
This is just a fucking lie. Like, there's nothing else that's more of a consensus than climate change. Like evolution and like gravitational theory and like certain mathematical laws maybe are like above that, but like,
The main
okay.
posited feature is that climate
Hmm.
change, again, if you believe in
Hmm.
it, began around the
Hmm.
Industrial Revolution. They look at fairly recent warming trends over
Ah,
the last 200 years, correlate that
yeah.
with emissions readings, which, again, the
Which
methodology
they correlate very
there
closely.
doesn't exactly provide for hefty enough controls in my mind all the time. But let's just go
Dude, they're literally measuring ice core layers. They're measuring the temperature of like air bubbles in the ice. Okay,
with it.
okay. There's literally I don't even know how you would think of a better methodology than that. This dude just doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about.
CO2 begins to rise, therefore more
What is the what just ran
all the
by?
time. But let's just go with it.
What was
CO2
that?
begins to rise,
Oh, just a
therefore
cat.
more
It was like a raccoon or a skunk or
global
something, or
warming
like a
with
badger.
climate change of various kinds. The problem is that if you look back to the mid-late 1800s, there weren't that many places in the world that were industrialized, and they were serving a population of about a tenth of what the world has today. The
Okay, and that's still when industrialization started and when humans started producing carbon dioxide in mass.
only way
What?
to therefore
Just because a whole bunch of like not everywhere on Earth started doing it yet doesn't mean that like I mean not everywhere on Earth today even has significant industrial
Even
development.
go back to the very
What?
slow beginnings of climate change, if it is indeed largely man-made and it is real and it is a threat that we would want to reverse, is to reduce the world's population by an order of magnitude,
No.
either through
No. No, you don't have to. You just have to change the energy that we use. Why do you go to this? Why are you fucking self-reporting, little fucking Holocaust denier, self-reporting here by immediately taking everything to we have to reduce a portion of the human fucking population. It's like no we don't. We just the problem isn't that there are a bunch of humans. The problem is that we're using the wrong type of energy. Like you could cut half the human fucking population in half. If we're still using carbon dioxide, we're just gonna be back at square fucking one, bitch.
genocide or sterilization attempts. And to deindustrialize,
Okay.
the world would have to go back to
No.
wooden plows and things. Is this
Hey,
possible?
you know what? You ever heard of this thing called the Green New Deal?
Yeah, technically. Yeah, you could release a virus or something and it would kill off 90% of people or render them
Ah,
sterile and fertile if you wanted to. Would it be capable of being done without destabilizing the world and defeating the purpose? No, I don't see any method by which that could
okay.
happen.
Well, good
Would it
thing, good thing nobody wants to do that, and actually, we're stopping the world from falling into destabilization. So you don't have to fucking worry about it, dude.
be able
It's
to
all
be
good.
done and then everyone would stay deindustrialized forever despite the fact that the means of reestablishing industry would be fairly simplistic? No.
Or we could just continue industrializing through means that don't produce greenhouse gases. Why? How is this? I'm sorry. How is this difficult at all? It's it isn't. It's not difficult. He's just a fucking moron.
No,
It's
the
difficult
first
for
nation
him.
to reindustrialize would win all. They would become the new masters. And if you think that the industrial nations of the world have any of them, the US, China, Russia at all, have any of these nations that are
I
so
think
concerned about
I happen to think that if we just to entertain his destabilization idea, I think if we and like deindustrialization, if we were to get to this point, we probably wouldn't have like America and China. Like, okay, I don't, this is such like a ridiculous, far fetched, like pseudo reality that he's invented that
climate
only that these arguments only work
change,
within.
considered the possibility of de-escalating the military complex that gobbles up so much energy usage? No.
Everybody advocates for that on the left. What the fuck are you talking about?
No, they all want to grow their militaries. Every nation.
Oh, like the United States? Yeah, sure, but that's because of Republicans and Democrats. But Republicans are the ones who like, I mean, would a Republican ever consider ever that the military produces like disparate climate outcomes? Would he ever? I'm so. Do Republicans make that point? I've never seen a Republican argue that in my entire fucking life.
Right now wants to grow its military. That's interesting
That's
because
a
all
lefty
these world leaders
criticism.
claim that CO2 emissions are going to kill us all. So yeah, we're going to
Mm-hmm.
defend you from being killed by killing everyone. See, the problem is what they're offering is bullshit. They know that climate change is either irreversible and we're doomed, or it's reversible by nature and hey, we don't know what's going to happen. Who cares? Let's do nothing. And meanwhile, they're selling.
Why is that the dichotomy? That's not the there isn't a dichotomy for one. When it comes to stopping climate change, I mean, most likely the best thing that we'll be able to do is just like not make things worse. But yeah, no.
Selling
Holy
you
fuck.
carbon credits, carbon taxes, and NIMBYism. NIMBYism's this. Not to
This
say
isn't
everyone
fucking
talks about,
NIMBYism,
hey,
you
so
dumbass.
many
Not not wanting a fucking coal mine a mile away from your house or fracking that makes your water catch on fire and puts like methane in your fucking water supply. That's not NIMBYism, dude. That's not what that refers to. Usually when people talk about NIMBYism, they talk about people who like don't want a homeless shelter built in their city because it'll reduce property values. That's the issue with NIMBYs, not people not wanting like Chernobyl to go off. Yeah, they people don't want to live. All right, okay, sorry guys, I'm a NIMBY because I don't want to live on like a fucking Soviet housing block near Chernobyl. Sorry
factories
guys.
in the United States have been lost over the last few decades as the result of overtaxation, environmental regulationism, and so forth. No, they haven't. Those factories just moved. They're still there. It's just that they took them down in the United States. So see,
Sure.
here's the NIMBYism. You, the American, don't see the smokestack, but little Chinese kids do. People in Chennai.
Okay, so then we should just like stop using fossil fuels. And so should China, which they are. They're already stopping doing it. And so is the United States, actually. So
In India do.
Okay.
People in Taipei
Nice
do.
non-argument.
People all over Asia and parts of Africa and Latin America. The industry just went there. It didn't, your Western European nation that now has 10 times less pollution than it did a few decades ago, huzzah, we won. No, you just made more pollution for Polish people. You didn't make the pollution go away. The emissions are still there. It's the law of supply and demand. If anything, people are more materialistic now than they were 20 or 30 years ago. We used to say in the...
Hence why climate change has continued to get worse and hasn't really gotten that much better. Hence why he's actually refuting the common conservative argument, actually, that the United's like, so what they'll say is they'll be like, oh, the United States has the lowest amount of emissions, and then for one, per capita, that's just like not true. We actually, I don't think we are the highest anymore. We were the highest. I think we might be the second highest now, but we were the highest in terms of per capita. But now he's admitting that like pretty much the reason why we're not anymore is because we've just like moved it to other countries. But that doesn't like do anything to refute my position. My position is that I don't want fossil fuels to be used at all by anyone on Earth. We can transition to a different type of energy. And that just kind of like bypasses all this bullshit where it's like, oh well, China, they've industrialized quickly, so actually, we don't have to give them anything. Like we can just...
The 90s, recycle, reuse, reduce. Everyone wanted to go to the recycling center, but nobody wanted to wash and reuse their bottles. Nobody wanted to reduce their materialistic intake. It's NIMBYism, and essentially it's a power grab.
Okay, he doesn't know what he just doesn't know what it is. He doesn't know what anything means ever, never. It doesn't ever happen.
The politicians, the globalistic types, they want to use climate change as another boogeyman to pass more laws. That means more taxes that they grift off of, more bureaus to make more favors to them, trading favors. It means more anti-competitive monopolism in the United States especially, I would say, and Canada, which allows larger businesses to harm their smaller competitors. Because, again, who can bear the financial burden of a government bureau coming in and harassing you over environmental regulations?
Look, dude, it's not real. It's just to fuck over small businesses, to harass them over regulations, dude. It's not like the sea level has increased almost 100-fold in the past like 20 years. Nope, that didn't. It's fake. It's all just fucking fake, dude.
Little chain store in your hometown with 3 outlets and 20 employees, or Walmart?
No, dude, Styx, your sophistry just like refutes all the data, dude. No, you're right.
Which one can survive that? Of course, Walmart can. They don't care. Kroger.
Hey, nobody's surviving a water crisis.
Can survive that. Aldi's can survive that. These companies, they don't have any problem. Fucking Target can survive these sorts of things. The little regional and local chains, they can't. They can't keep up with all the regulations. And by the way, pretty much...
Dude, this is the biggest line of fucking bullshit ever. This is such bullshit. Yes, they can. They literally can. Yes, they can handle the regulations. If you can point to a specific example of a crazy piece of red tape that no small business can handle, none of these businesses can handle, then like fine. Especially if it doesn't like need to exist. But I'm sorry, but I think mandating that you can't dump fucking toxic waste into a river that's upstream of a fucking city, I don't think that's too over encumbersome to your small business. And I'm sorry, and if that does over encumber your small business, then probably your small business doesn't get to fucking exist. Okay, if your small business is you just like, I don't know, yeah, what if you make a business where you like dump shit into a river, and that's what you do? You just collect people's fertilizer and shit, you just dump it in the fucking communal river, and that's your business. Okay, well, sorry, you've been choked out by regulations, I guess. Fuck off.
Much every small business in the country would go out of business tomorrow if they actually breathed down the neck of anyone that actually skirted environmental law alone. Because the law is so complex. You think that the ma and pa bookstore really knows all the regulations they have to follow?
I'm sorry, our Mon Pa bookstore. Wait, okay, this is such like a total non-starter. I'm sorry, I can't believe I even like entertained this. Okay, so for one, most Mon Pa businesses are not engaging in fossil fuel. Like they wouldn't be regulated by the EPA the same way like a fossil fuel company would. That's what like most of these regulations are on. They're on the fossil fuel industry. There isn't really such thing as like a Mon Pa fossil fuel industry. You need a shit ton of capital in order to get into that industry. What? I'm sorry. I thought this guy isn't he like the under or the economics understander, but he doesn't understand the fact that like yeah, if you're like a multinational oil or if you're an oil company at all, you're not you can I don't think you can even be mom and pop. That doesn't even make sense. You have to have millions of dollars of capital in order to do this. So I'm sorry. Is a books I'm sorry, yeah, is a bookstore supposed to be hurt by environmental regulations? That's like really the argument he's going with here.
No,
That's
they just
fucking
set up shop and then they
crazy,
start
bro.
selling things and hopefully don't run afoul of tax laws. They're all lawbreakers in the eyes of government. Government's steadily destroying more small businesses now anyway. That's where the innovation happens. Small and local chains mainly. Small business, local chain, regional conglomerate, something, 10 stores or something like that. That's where the innovation happens. There's a reason why the U.S. economic
Wait, so now the big businesses are good?
model,
Okay.
and indeed the model in
This is the conservative brain. This is what your brain has to do. You you have to juggle in your head that because you have to believe simultaneously that small business is good and that like mom and pop that shit's good. That's like wholesome and good, right? But then at the same time, if you're rich, you're like a superhuman special person. That like they have to juggle that, if that makes any sense. They have to simultaneously argue that rich people are like they have more merit than everybody else. They've succeeded in the meritocracy, and also it's all bullshit. And these small businesses, they're the real guys. But also these like these big globalist business Jew people, like because come on, that's what Styx believes. They simultaneously are like big bad elites, but they're also like there for a reason in Styx mind. You can't tax them. If you put any taxes on them, actually that's the small businesses being hurt. But actually these big globalist conglomerates are bad at the same. It's nonsense. This is what you have to do when your brain is the size of a fucking pea and you have to defend corporate interests while at the same time pretending to be a populist.
much of the Western world is lopsided, and climate
brain
change
at
really
all.
helps that to happen because you have all of these taxes that you're proposing. It's not going to affect Kroger. It's not going to affect Walmart. It's not going to affect Amazon, Microsoft. They can either
Does he? I'm sorry. Does he know what marginal taxes are? Does he know what like progressive taxes are? You can you can tax businesses that make more money more than businesses that make less money. That's how our system works right now. Okay.
operate at a loss, allowing their competitors to die off. Then they
Also,
jack
here's another funny thing. Guess who is going to survive climate change, which is, an actual real thing, an actual real threat. You know who are the businesses that are going to, make do for long. Now at the end of the day, nobody's going to survive it. But you know who will survive the longest? The massive global conglomerate international companies that he was just talking about and just demeaning and just talking about how if we regulate them, actually we don't regulate them. We only regulate and choke out small business, which I mean, this is just demonstrably not the case.
their
So
prices up, and of course they can reabsorb that almost instantaneously. Or they can use their armies of lawyers to just perpetually skirt environmental regulations while smaller competitors are just
yeah, so we should just regulate them less so they continue to like this. Okay, this would be like we have a hen house, right? And we put a fence around it, but the fence is kind of shitty. The foxes still get in, right? My solution would be, okay, let's just make the fence better and make it more fox proof so that the foxes don't get in. His argument is, oh, well, let's just let the foxes rip the heads off of all the fucking hens. That's it. That's what he's doing.
destroyed. Why do you
I
think Bill
love this.
Gates
I
is now
love this fucking pseudo libertarianism.
the largest single holder of farmland in the United States? It's not to innovate and grow better crops.
Oh, it's because he knows that with climate change coming and with, water and arable land becoming scarce, he's going to make a lot of money off of that land. How much you want to bet that's
It's
what
not
it is, and not whatever stupid shit he's about to say. Listen to me. Don't listen to what he's about to say. Listen to what I'm saying right now. What I'm saying right now is 8,000 times more likely to be true than what he's
because he's actually interested in making more profit. Hey, you know what? There's a lot of profit to be made in soybeans. It's not about that. It's horseshit. And you should know better. There are people, they'll look at this sort of thing and they actually believe what they're being told.
Wait, okay, so he's not going to say what it's about? I just said what it's most likely about. It's probably because land and arable land is probably going to become more scarce with time. Same with clean drinking water.
You believe the government. It's going to be, it's benevolent. It's trying to save you from climate change. Meanwhile,
there are people that aren't part of the government, though, that agree with me. I love this. Everyone that disagrees with them is either the government or they're part of the international plot to kill all the white people or something. That's how it works with these people. It can't be that there are like actual legitimate independent institutions that are doing this on their own within like the free market and like within the meritocracy, all this shit. They can't handle the fact that there are people that actually do that disagree with them. So they either have to be part of the Jewish cultural Marxist plot or it's the government.
While all of these people have private jets and third and
it's literally just an excuse for them to just like ignore all the evidence and ignore any possible policy prescription that anybody could put forward.
Fourth homes. Have you seen Michael Moore's home? Does that look like a person who's really concerned about climate change? What about the Obamas with their
Yeah, if you're concerned about climate change, live in the streets. Be like Diogenes and live in a fucking wooden barrel and jerk off in public.
The Vineyard estate, they're like fucking 10 bedrooms. It's like 5 feet above sea level. Supposedly it should be under the waves already. Well, why did they build it there? They at least raise it up on stilts or something.
Styx, you especially should know that human beings think about things in a very short-term, on the surface way. Okay?
Something you should have a stilt house because supposedly that entire shoreline won't exist in a couple of decades. But the evidence...
I'm sorry, I don't mean to pause so much, but go to the East Coast. There are people who first of all, you go to like any beach town, there's still houses that are destroyed from hurricanes. That's for one. And also like people do put their houses on stilts. Actually, this is a thing that happens.
Is mounting that the
hold on. You can literally look at like flood stilts. House flood stilt. There are like, this is a big thing that people have to do now, especially people who live on the East Coast. They put their houses on stilts. Yeah, they do. There's this shit's all over the East Coast because you can't get insurance if your fucking house floods, and it just keeps happening more and more and more and more. And they get
the entire charade is false. Yeah, at this point, I guess you have to classify me as a climate denier or whatever moniker.
Hey, you know what? At least you're not a giant fucking labia flapping pussy who can't just admit when you're a piece of shit climate denier. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, history will remember you horribly.
They're using for that because,
thank you
again,
for
you can physically observe shorelines. You can visibly look at ice melt and things like this, and snowfall and temperatures and CO2 emissions, and probably monitor it yourself if you wanted to invest in the right equipment. Doomsday hasn't come yet. Supposedly it was supposed...
I mean, it's just right here. People do that. They already did it. Look, they already did it. It's right here. It already happened. Look, people that are really smart and know how to do it, have all the tools to do it, they just did it. Look, make nice little graphs, making like really good ones. This is a really cool graph. It's interactive. Look, it goes up to March 31st, 97 millimeters. Wow. And it started at, well, it started at the 0 mark. This is what they started from for scale, and then it went up 100-fold since 1993. Yeah, that we're in for some really fun times in the future. I'm super excited for the eco-fascist hellscape that our society is going to descend into. Yes.